The next concept is socialization. Socialization is the process by which we learn the norms and ideas of our society. It obviously has another meaning too, just, hanging out with people, having fun, but in this case we're using it specifically to mean this process, how we learn what the rules are. And socialization is the way that socially constructed ideas are learned by people and the way they're passed on through the generations. If I ask the question, who are high heels for, you immediately know that the correct answer socially is that they're for women. Some of you may intellectually disagree with this, some of you may say, no, I think anyone can wear heels, but even if you believe that, you still knew what the social rule, what the social norm was. High heels are a great example of something being socially constructed and how we can see that by the way it changes over time. They were invented in the 15th century in Persia, and they were for riding. The idea was that your foot wouldn't slip off the stirrup if you had that heel. They were then brought to France in the 16th and 17th centuries, where they were adopted by men as a sign of social prestige, of status. The idea was that the job of men was to engage in statecraft, politics, diplomacy. In order to be taken seriously, you had to look impressive. You had to look like you were rich. You had to look like you put a lot of work into your appearance, and high heels were a part of that. You can see these gentlemen looking very fine in their fancy wigs and frilly scarves and heels. I think it's important to understand that, for them, they had a logic. It made sense to them why this was a male thing and why women didn't need to look pretty because they didn't do this kind of work, and so they wouldn't do that. But then over time, they became associated with women. Originally, when women started wearing them, they were actually rebellious. It was, women engaging in a kind of male practice. It was seen as women being aggressive, but now that's who they're associated with. So how do we learn in our everyday lives that this is the case? How did we all know that high heels are supposed to be worn by women according to the rules of our society? Through socialization. This happens in the media. We see adverts for high heels. We see women on TV shows wearing heels, talking about heels. We see heels often presented as the most exciting shoe for women, right? Women being really into Louis Vuittons or whatever. It's in music as something that women would be excited to be able to buy. We also see it the other way around, showing men who aren't supposed to be wearing heels. So the image in the bottom left here is from an ad where there's a man in women's clothing and he's having trouble walking with heels, and it's funny, right? So it indicates that that's wrong. It tells us that that's against the rules. And then just when we go into the store, right? The stores are divided into a men's shoe section, a women's shoe section, the heels are in the shoe section. Similarly, our families. So there's all these kind of ways we might learn these lessons, and all of those added up are socialization, are us learning, starting as young children, going into our adulthood, what these social norms and rules are.